Sync is used to ensure that no crosstalk occurs between multiple transducers when their cables are all run beside each other or very close. The sync function on the SITRANS LT500 can be used with any of our legacy portfolios such as the LUT400, the Multi-Ranger or Hydro Ranger HMI or classic models, as well as the Multi or Hydro Plus, the Mini Ranger, the LU series, the DPS, or the LUC 500. Our classic or traditional sync, which you've been familiar with, is used when multiple applications have transducer wires running close or even beside each other, which could create crosstalk. So where you have applications with multiple tanks and multiple controllers and all of the transducer cables are running in conduit trays, all back to a control room or a central source where all of the controllers are held, this is where we like to use sync to ensure we don't have that crosstalk between the transducer cables. And how we manage the feature is each unit all fires at the same time or synchronously, and then we wait for each unit to receive their signal back, and we provide a delay to ensure that we manage any differences in range. If our first application is only a 3-meter range and we have another item in the sync chain which is a 15-meter range, we need to account for that difference in time of flight. So we fire all the transducers at the same time, we wait until all of the transducers can have their signal returned, and then we reset and we fire again for our next measurement. There's a new sync function in the SITRANS LT500 where we can provide multiple sensors in the same application on multiple controllers. So typically we only get requests for these in very critical applications where sensor and controller redundancy are required. And this is where you would have two independent sensors and controllers. So different than a dual point device, we actually have two completely independent systems. But to ensure we don't have crosstalk here where we could fire on sensor 1 and read on sensor 2, which could provide perhaps a false distance reading, we can synchronize these two independent controllers to ensure that they each fire and receive the signal before the other sensor is in its measurement cycle. So this is a new feature on the LT500. You can use this with our legacy products, but you need to ensure that the legacy product is first in the sync chain and then the LT500 is after that. But if you do just use LT500s, we can have multiple sensors here, many of them. Typically, in reality, you would only ever see two in an application like this. If you are going to use that type of new sync functionality, there is a new parameter which becomes visible when you enable sync. What you need to do is, if you're using two or more, is enter a sync delay. And we do that by entering what the sensor range is on your second application. So for your first controller or your primary controller, you don't need to enter any delay. On your second one, you just need to enter what the range is from the first controller. So if the first controller had a 10-meter range, you would enter a 10-meter delay on controller 2. And then any subsequent controllers, we need to enter the sum of all of those delays. So if we have a 20-meter range on controller 2, we have a 10-meter range on controller 1, we need to enter a 30-meter delay on controller 3, and so on to ensure that we fire and read on each sensor before the next sensor does its measurement cycle.